I'm never going to have a healthy relationship. In my head. Hey everyone, welcome to In My Head. Two quick things. First, I am from the United States of America, so if you're from a different country or a different culture, the things I say, they may not apply the same for you. Number two, I am not a licensed professional. I think I have an attachment problem. I was reading online about this attachment thing. Insecure? Yeah, that's me. Am I stuck like this forever? Here on In My Head, I give my take on mental health issues, and today we're talking about how to change your insecure attachment style. Before we get into that though, do me a favor. What is your attachment style? Leave that down below in the comments, and if you don't know, I will link to more videos about attachment styles at the end of this video. Insecure attachment style shows up basically in two different directions. One of them is preoccupied, and that's basically when you feel like you always need somebody in a close relationship to be around you, tending to your needs. Hey honey, guess what I got for you? A leash. And on the other side is avoidance, and that's when we feel really uncomfortable when somebody gets closer to us in a relationship. We don't really like to show any vulnerabilities. I think we should have separate beds. So that covers anxious preoccupied and dismissive avoidant, but there's also, of course, fearful avoidant, which is kind of like going in both directions all the time. Never really knowing which way you're going in a relationship and how you feel about things can leave you feeling very confused, and it may have you questioning if you can even do relationships in the first place. So are we official yet? Now, as mentioned, all of these are insecure attachment styles, so that means that they revolve around insecurity. And what this really means in the most basic terms is that you feel insecure about being in a relationship with somebody. In other words, you feel anxiety when you get into close relationships. So if you want to move away from an insecure attachment style and towards a secure attachment style, you have to manage that anxiety. You can't continue to avoid the anxiety and let it run your life under the surface. I'm fine. What are we having for dinner? And you can't dive headfirst into the anxiety and demand that the people that you're with manage the anxiety for you. I know you have to work, but I need you to hold me. I'm feeling very insecure right now. Anxiety. What is it? Anxiety is something that we experience inside of our bodies. It's the reason that we feel so uncomfortable when it comes to relationships. So if we want to deal with that anxiety, manage it, regulate it, whatever word you want to use, we first have to acknowledge that it's there. We have to notice it. What does anxiety feel like in your body? Usually, anxiety shows up with tightened muscles, increased breathing, rapid heartbeat, sweating, blushing, things of that nature. Slowing down your breathing is something that I've personally found very helpful for managing my own anxiety. It can also be helpful to go in and try a therapy like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT has been shown to change somebody's attachment style in relation to panic disorder. And I'll link to that study down below if you want to check it out. You might also like a form of therapy called dialectical behavior therapy, which is DBT. It's a form of CBT. DBT incorporates aspects like mindfulness and emotion regulation, which are things that people who have an insecure attachment style tend to have trouble with. So when your husband tells you he's busy and you feel anxiety, what thoughts go through your head? That I'm a bother, that I'm not worth it. But I know that you said that sometimes when I feel that way, maybe I should be thinking the opposite thoughts. So maybe I am worth it, but in that moment, I just don't feel like it. Another way that anxiety may show up in our body after we've experienced something like trauma is dissociation. Remember that most insecure attachment styles probably started as the result of an attachment trauma experienced in childhood. With dissociation, instead of seeing those symptoms of anxiety that I just talked about, typically the whole body just kind of like shuts down and you don't feel any of it. It's a strange kind of experience. You go numb, things start to get fuzzy, you may start to like see things out of focus, and you start to lose track of time. If you start to notice that this is what's happening, something that may help you are grounding techniques. Grounding techniques are a way for you to get back inside of your body, experiencing the moment as it's unfolding in front of you. You can try things like feeling how your feet feel down against the floor, looking around the room and seeing things in a certain color, maybe like looking for all the yellow things in the room, listening and seeing how many different sounds you can hear, or maybe taking a textured piece of fabric and running it through your hands. Red. Painting, book, pottery, bird feeder. Trauma can make dealing with anxiety on our own really, really difficult. Something else that helps us move towards a secure attachment is being around somebody who helps us to feel secure. A therapist who specializes in trauma is the perfect person to be able to give us that feeling. Realizing that you have an insecure attachment style, that can be really scary. We all want and we all deserve to have healthy relationships. Just because you're experiencing this anxiety now and this attachment style now doesn't mean that you have to experience it forever. When you put in the work to learn about your own mental health and use the skills that are going to help you regulate your own anxiety, things can get better. As I mentioned, a therapist is well trained to be able to help you get on track into moving into a more secure attachment style. But if you just want something that you want to look through at home, I am not a therapist, but I do have some free worksheets on stress regulation that you may find helpful. You can get those free over on Patreon. I use Patreon to help support people who do the work that they love, and I have patrons who help to support me in my mission here of humanizing mental health and making videos like the one you're watching now. Thank you to my patrons. If you like to learn about mental health as much as I do, why not head over to youtube.com/RyanLiberty, go hit subscribe. And remember to comment down below what your attachment style is. Thank you for joining me, everybody, here on In My Head. I think I can do this.